In 2026, everybody wants harvest, results, growth, impact, profit, peace. But very few people respect the seed. We look at the fruit, the career title, the salary, the public recognition, and we assume that is the goal. But here is the truth. The fruit is just the end of the story. The story begins in the dark. It begins with what you are burying in the ground of your life every single day. Today, we are going to look at why you might be harvesting a life you never actually wanted to plant. Most people spend their 20s and 30s building a structure they call a career. They build walls of competence. They build roofs of security, but they never check the soil. And one day, usually on a Tuesday morning that feels just like any other, the ground shakes. The structure holds, but the soul collapses. We call this burnout. We call it a midlife crisis. But in this lab, we call it fake purpose. Fake purpose is when you plant a seed that was never yours to begin with. Maybe it was your father's seed. Maybe it was society's seed. You watered it with your time. You fertilized it with your stress. And now, you are standing in a field of crops that you have no desire to eat. Today, we are walking through the transition from that fake purpose to true alignment. We are going to use the laws of the harvest to rewrite your narrative. Because if you don't like the harvest, you must change the seed. Let me tell you a story about a man named Elias. Elias is an architect, not because he loves design, but because at 18 he was told that stability is the highest virtue. For 15 years, Elias planted seeds of safety. Every conversation was a seed. He said yes when he wanted to say no. That is a seed of dishonesty. He stayed late to impress a boss he didn't respect. That is a seed of fear. He took the promotion that moved him further away from the actual work, just to secure the title. That is a seed of ego. Fast forward to 2026. Elias has the harvest. He has the corner office. He has the stability, but he is starving. Why? Because you cannot eat safety. You cannot nourish your soul with the approval of people who do not know you. Here is the truth. What you tolerate is a seed. Elias tolerated misalignment for a decade, and now he is living in a forest of regret. Now ask yourself, what seed am I planting daily? Focus or distraction? Faith or fear? Growth or comfort? If you feel empty despite your success, it is not because you failed. It is because you succeeded at the wrong assignment. You became an expert in a field that does not belong to you. You are harvesting a crop that is bitter to your taste. This is where the transition begins. It does not begin with quitting your job tomorrow. It begins with honesty. It begins with looking at your field and admitting, I did not plant this with intention. I planted this with fear. To move from fake purpose to alignment, we must respect the laws of the lab. Law 1. You harvest what you plant. This sounds simple, but it is where most people fail. They want to harvest freedom, but they are planting dependency. They want to harvest creativity, but they are planting compliance. When you decide to transition, the first step is not updating your resume. It is updating your identity. You have to stop identifying as the harvester of your past and start identifying as the planter of your future. If you want a career that feels like a calling, you must plant seeds of curiosity. You must plant seeds of risk. But seed is where your future is hiding. Let's go back to Elias. He didn't just quit. He started a lab phase. He started experimenting. He stopped planting safety and started planting truth. He started having honest conversations. He started setting boundaries. He started carving out 1 hour a day to do work that actually lit him up. He realized that every private decision is a seed. When you choose to speak up in a meeting about your real values, you are planting a new kind of tree. It is small. It is invisible to everyone else. Write this down. The harvest I want is... Pause. The seed I will plant daily is... Pause. The weeds I will remove are... Pause. If you want a harvest of peace, you cannot plant seeds of chaos. If you want a harvest of purpose, you cannot plant seeds of people-pleasing. You harvest exactly what you plant. No more, no less. This brings us to the hardest part of the transition. The void. Law 2. You harvest later than you plant. This is why people quit. They change their behavior on Monday and expect a new life on Friday. They start planting seeds of alignment, and after 2 weeks, nothing has happened. The bank account looks the same. The job is still draining. But nature does not rush. Your preparation is underground. Your consistency is underground. Your character is underground. When you transition from a fake purpose, you enter a season of invisibility. You have stopped maintaining the old harvest, so the applause dies down. But the new harvest has not yet broken the surface. You are in the gap. Elias spent 2 years in this gap. To the outside world, it looked like he was stagnant. He stepped down from the big role. He took a pay cut to buy back his time. He looked like he was losing. But underground? Underground, his roots were finding water for the first time in his life. He was building a foundation of competence in a new area. He was building resilience. And if you feel behind, hear this. The taller the tree, the deeper the roots must go. If you want a career that can weather the storms, you need deep roots. Do not despise the time of obscurity. Now ask yourself, am I willing to labor in the dark so I can shine in the light? Am I willing to trust the timing of the seed? Finally, the promise. Law 3. You harvest more than you plant. One seed produces a tree, and that tree produces fruit with hundreds of new seeds. This is the law of multiplication. When Elias finally stepped fully into his new path, the reward was not just a paycheck, it was energy, it was impact. Small right decisions compound, small wrong decisions compound too. When you align your career with your true nature, you tap into a compound interest of the soul. You do work that creates energy. You build a legacy that outlasts you. This is the difference between a job and a calling. A job is a transaction. A calling is a multiplication. Your career is not a destination. It is a garden, and you are the gardener. You can look at the weeds of your past and weep, or you can look at the seeds in your hand and work. The transition from fake purpose to true alignment is not easy, but it is necessary. It requires you to respect the seed, to endure the underground, and to trust the harvest. Harvest is not a lottery. Harvest is a system. Comment, I will plant with purpose, and subscribe.